I think on the just network side of things, it's really doing that research ahead of time about, and like you said, sometimes even though there's no real crystal ball out there what's going to be coming down the line. So it's more trying to build that capacity with the future in mind, but also doing some real tests of actually. I mean, I can sit here and come up with lots of ways of what that, like you said, megabit per second might be. But until we actually get those devices in kids' hands and actually see what they do, because I probably can't even imagine what they'll end up doing with it once they have it. So actually, doing small tests like that before deploying widespread so that you really can build out what that standard should be with an eye toward, it needs to be expandable for the future.
Yeah, and I would add that we benefited a lot so far from visiting other districts and doing the research that Jordan just talked about, making sure that there's due diligence that occurs. I think seeing what other districts, how they've progressed and sort of how they walked through this, everything from policy and protocol to actual devices, the deployment, the community conversations, it helps. I know our conversations are different because Intel's in our backyard, so they are pretty committed to certain types of devices, and then also kind of what goes into curriculum. If you're talking about coding, what types of coding and what kinds of opportunities their kids have matter to them tremendously. And so according to the industry and the types of demographics that are in different districts, it's making sure that you address all those needs and concerns. And I think it's helped us to address fears too. There's a lot of FUD is what we started calling it, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, making sure that you address the needs and you let people say, we're pretty frightened about this, or what happens in this structure. So making sure, and we're still in the process of doing that, but it's helped us to really listen to other districts and have them make the mistakes, I guess, so to speak, at first, and then learning from those mistakes just so that we're a little more informed about how we walk through it.
And I think Corinne and Jordan were spot on with that counsel. I would offer that it is so important that you begin the conversation with internal stakeholders, with teachers, with administration, teaching and learning, with the school board even, around what we're trying to achieve. And so keeping the conversation publicly focused on demonstrating learning in new ways, learning and teaching in new ways, the advice is where I would start with this. It begins with that conversation that almost explicitly, this is not about a one-to-one. One-to-one is an outcome of teaching and learning in new ways, and he's demonstrating learning differently than we did.